If you're going to buy a car from a dealership, you need to understand that there are a ton of sneaky fees and upsells that you have to be aware of in order to not pay full retail for everything like I did with my first car purchase. So in this video, I'm going to cover all the fees and all the upsells that you can possibly encounter if you're buying a car at a dealership, so that the next time you do it, you can go in more prepared and you can save all the money that you possibly can. Now, if you just found this channel, I'm Jason with Honest Finance, and I make a lot of videos on different topics that'll give your life and your finances more value. So if you have any interest in this type of content, feel free to subscribe. But for now, let's just start talking about all these fees and upsells that dealerships have that you absolutely don't need to be paying for. I'll start by saying that most of the fees and most of the upsells that you're going to run into at the dealership, they're most likely going to happen in the financing office. So we're just going to assume that you're inside the financing office and this is where everything's going to be happening. But just keep in mind that they can happen elsewhere, just usually they're going to end up in the financing office. So once you negotiate the price of the car with the salesman, you're going to eventually end up in the financing office. And even if you're not financing your car, you still have to go in there because this is where the final paperwork is going to be signed. And this is where the final out the door price is going to be showed to you. And that's where you can find all of these dirty fees. And that's where you have to be really careful so that they don't make a ton of money on you just because you have your guard down because you thought the process was over. Eventually, you're going to have to sign the final bill of sale, and this is going to have everything listed out. It's going to have the price of the car, the taxes, all the fees associated with the vehicle, and so this is where you have to learn how to pay attention to what's on that sheet of paper so that you don't get ripped off. And as far as negotiating these fees go, I know that you guys want to get rid of them as soon as you can, but the thing is you have to wait until the bill of sale is actually printed out. That way you can see exactly what's on the paper or not, because you don't want to be negotiating for something that doesn't even exist until they print off that sheet of paper, and that's exactly when you're going to negotiate. Don't do it earlier than that, just do it when it's printed out. The salesman that you bought the car from doesn't have any control over the stuff that's going on in the financing department. So remember, you're just negotiating the car with the salesman, and then everything else is going to happen with the finance manager. Now, there are a lot of necessary fees that you have to pay no matter what, and I'm going to be talking about those first because I want you to understand that there are required fees when you buy a car, but we're going to talk about those, and then we'll talk about the fees that aren't required, the ones that are just a total waste of money. The required fees that you're going to have to pay at the dealership are called your TTL, which stands for tax, title, and licensing. And you're always going to have to pay this based on the state that you're in, and everybody has to pay it. You can't get out of these fees. So if you've got taxes, registration, licensing, inspection, or anything like that, then just be aware that these fees are expected and there's nothing you can do about it. I know it sucks, but you are going to have to pay those fees. Now let's talk about the fees that are really bad. And these are the fees that nobody talks about that'll just show up on your paperwork out of nowhere. And these are the fees that everybody seems to pay because nobody's paying any attention to the line items on the bill of sale. So pay attention here because these are the big ones that you can get in trouble with. The first fee I want to talk about is extremely common, and you're always going to see this on your paperwork, and it's called the doc fee or the documentation fee, and then some people also call it the processing fee. So if you see either of these, just keep in mind that that's fairly normal to be on your paperwork. They're going to range from about $300 to $500, but the thing is I just don't like this fee because you can get out of it. I completely understand that there's always going to be associated costs with paperwork and filing and everything like that, but why pay for something if you don't have to? Every single dealer that I've ever gone to has never been able to waive the doc fee because they're required to charge it to everyone. And so the only way that I've ever wiggled around it is to compensate in a different area. So what I mean by this is if I have a trade-in, I'll either ask them politely if they can raise it $300 on the trade, or I'll just have them take $300 off the car to compensate for the doc fee. That way they can still charge me the $300 doc fee, but then I get $300 back somewhere else, and then it compensates so that I don't have to pay it. And just remember that you're not obligated to buy the car at all. So if you're frustrated by paying an extra $300 on the doc fee and they're not going to waive it for you, then just leave because you're not obligated to buy that car and you can always buy one from someone else. The next fee that I've seen on the paperwork is called a delivery fee. And if you do see this on your bill of sale, get out of this fee 100% because you do not need to be paying it. Because first of all, this only applies to new cars. So if you're out there on the lot and you're looking at the window sticker, which is called the Monroney sticker, that sticker actually has a destination charge already built into it. And that's a flat fee that everybody has to pay across the entire country. That way that it's always fair. So with a new car, the destination fee is already required. Therefore, if you see the delivery fee later down the road on your bill of sale, then that is just a complete waste of money, and what they're doing is they're double dipping because you've already paid that fee. So the bottom line here is that if you see a delivery fee on your bill of sale, do not pay that fee, because the only fee that's required is on new cars, and that's on the window sticker. It's called the destination fee, and that's already built into the price of the car. That is the only destination fee that you're ever going to pay, and that's only on new cars. Now, the next fee that I want to talk about that I've always seen is called VTR, and that stands for Vehicle Theft Registration, and it's typically about $300, and I've always got this fee waived because it's absolutely not necessary. So if you see anything that has to do with theft protection, just have it waived, because like I said earlier, the only fees that you're required to pay are the ones by the state. The next fee I want to talk about is one that I hate seeing on the paperwork, and this is called an advertising fee. The reason that I don't like this is because it makes you feel somehow like you're supposed to help them pay to advertise their cars, when in reality, they're going to be paying that, and that's just the cost of doing business. Because honestly, they can pay for advertising however they want to. I just don't want to have to pay some stupid advertising fee on my car purchase that they're justifying pays for their ads, when in reality, they have a budget for their ads and they can pay for it themselves. Now, next on my list of fees is a really good one, because they make you feel like you're supposed to pay for things like detailing and gas, and this is called the dealer prep fee, and this is just a total waste of money, because they're always going to prep your car and they're always going to fill it with gas, but you don't need to be paying for those services. Because at the end of the day, there's a lot of competition in the car business. So if they really want to have your business, then they don't need to be charging you a dealer prep fee when nobody else does, because there's no point in paying for something if you don't have to. The last fee that I want to talk about is usually only found on cars that are in high demand, and it's called ADM, which stands for Additional Dealer Markup. And this is just a total waste of money, because it means that you're paying over MSRP, so the dealer can just make extra because of the high demand of the car that you want to be buying. And you absolutely don't need to be paying this fee, because there's plenty of other dealers out there that you can get that car from that are not going to charge that fee. Don't be tempted to give into this fee just because you finally found the car that you want and they're really hot on the market, because honestly, if you just work with a bunch of different dealers, you're gonna find the same car that you want, the high demand version, and then you can get it without the ADM, which is gonna save you a lot of money. So either get the ADM waived off of your car purchase, or just go to another dealer that's not gonna charge it, because like I said earlier, you don't have to buy the car right now. You can always walk out and you can buy it from someone else. Now, before I talk about the fees that can be negotiated, I first want to talk about a hidden fee that's never going to be disclosed, and you're not going to know about it if you're financing your car through the dealer. This is called a finance reserve, and this is really bad for you, the consumer, if you're not paying attention and you're financing your car through the dealer. Because if they have a finance reserve, what this means is that you can actually get a rate through the dealer that's, let's say, 5%, but in reality it was only 3%, and they're taking a 2% cut, which is the finance reserve, and they're making all that money off of you just because you didn't get the best rate that you could, having done some prior homework. So because you're never going to know what their finance reserve is, my best advice to you is to do your homework prior to getting financing through the dealer. So what you're going to do is you're just going to go online, you're going to check your local credit unions, and you're going to find the best rates that you can for the car that you're going to qualify for. That way, when you go into the dealer, you know exactly what your rate should be, and then they can't throw any curveballs with the finance reserve because you already know what the rate is supposed to be. Or an even better option would be just to get pre-approved from your local credit union before you go to the dealership. That way all of your financing is already in order and you never have to worry about a stupid finance reserve because you did it through someone other than the dealership. And I want to make a quick note here that if you're going to be buying a new car and you're going to finance it directly through the manufacturer, like through Ford financing or Toyota financing, that's fine because I've seen really good rates through them, but just make sure that you read the contract terms, because a lot of the time you can't refinance your car for 6 months or a year, and that's really weird because a lot of lenders don't do stuff like that. So just make sure that you read through the contract and make sure that you're getting a really good value, because they do exist, but I have seen some pretty bad ones out there too. Now, if you've made it this far into the video, can you please just give it a big thumbs up? That way I can tell if you guys are actually liking this content or you're not. So thank you very much. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about all of the upsells that can happen at the dealership. And I don't really think that a lot of these are a very good value, but if you do your research and you find them to be a pretty good price for what you're getting, then I would definitely go ahead and just do them through the dealership. because you might as well if they're a good value. The first ones that I want to talk about are things like window tinting, pinstripe stickers, and then clear bra installation. And all of these things are totally fine to do if you want to add them to your car. Just make sure that you're not paying full retail for them, because that's what a lot of dealers will do. They'll just charge you way too much money for something that shouldn't be costing you that much money. So all you need to do here is just some quick research, because if you find something on your car that you want to add, then just make some quick phone calls or check online. That way you can tell if it's a good value or if it's a bad value from the dealership. So for instance, if you wanted to have a clear bra put on your car and the dealership was charging you $300 to have that done, then what I would do is I would call someone who specializes in clear bra installation and see what they charged. And that way I could tell if I needed to have the dealership price match, or if I just needed to go through that third party to have that done, because that's going to be the best value for me as long as I'm getting the best price. I've had a lot of upgrades installed at the dealer, like window tinting, leveling kits, and even leather seats, but I always make sure that it's going to be the best value through the dealer before I ever say yes to any of that kind of stuff. Dealerships will also try to upsell you on things like nitrogen-filled tires, VIN etching, and then even locking lug nuts so that your car can't get stolen. But I've never bought any of these kind of things because I've just never felt that they were a good enough value for what you're paying. Also, watch out for what's called credit life insurance, which means that if you die, you'll have your car paid off, which might sound good on the outside, but it's a total ripoff. I say this because if you really wanted to have your car paid off if you died, then I would just stick with regular term life insurance, because it's going to be a lot cheaper and it's going to be a better value overall. And then lastly, if the dealer offers anything like carpet protection, paint protection, or even an extended warranty, just know that if you are buying these types of services, you don't have to pay full price for them. So let's say that the dealer wanted $1,800 for an extended warranty. Well, what I would do is I would just ask what's the best price he could do to get the commission. And if he came back at like $950, then maybe I would consider doing the extended warranty, but I'm never going to pay full retail for it. Just please remember to negotiate and do your research before you buy any of this stuff, because if you're not doing that, you're going to end up spending way too much money on a bunch of stuff that you probably don't need in the first place. And most of the time you can even finance this stuff directly on top of the loan. So not only can you get totally ripped off from the dealer if you're paying too much for those products, but then on top of that, you can also pay interest on them, which is something that you for sure do not want to be doing. Just because your payment only goes up $25 a month on your car because you added a bunch of stuff to it doesn't mean that it was a good value in the first place. So just be aware, I don't want you financing a bunch of overpriced junk just because you can. So hopefully the next time you buy a car at a dealer, you'll be aware of all the different hidden fees and the upsells that they have that can be a total ripoff, so that you can save more money in your wallet the next time you buy a car. Now, once again, I'm Jason with Honest Finance, and I make a lot of videos on different topics that'll give your life and your finances more value. So if you guys are interested in that type of content, feel free to subscribe. But for now, I will just leave some more car buying videos over here that you can watch. But I thank you for your time. Have a good day.